Hey guys, super excited to be here with you today. I'm happy to see that the topic I'm going to talk about is of interest. Just before we get started, I know the folks at Intermedia. I just want to say thank you to them. They obviously care a lot about you guys, and they want you guys to succeed and have get a lot of value. So the pressure's on me to make sure I deliver, and I want you to know that's what I'm here to do. So make sure as I go through the presentation any questions you have, anything you want me to explain, anything, just anything that I can do to help you. I'm here to serve today. I'm here to be a value creator. And just want to say thank you to all of you and to the folks at Intermedia for having me here. I do know that the PowerPoint deck, I've got a couple of campaigns I want to share with you. The recording, all that's going to be made available afterwards, but this is when you're going to get me live. So please, I'll watch the attendee chat for questions, but would love to hear input as we go along. And really what I'm going to cover, got a lot to cover. We want to talk about what your clients and prospects are going to be looking to buy over the next 12 months. I've got some really good insights to share there. And if you want to succeed, you want to be positioning yourself right now to offer those services, and what marketing messages are going to get you invited into new prospects, and which is going to things that are going to get you blocked. We're going to talk about what media you should be using. Things have definitely changed a little bit out there post coronavirus, COVID-19. Some of it was pretty gnarly there for a while. But I think at the end of the day, IT is going to come out really ahead of the game in all of this. I think it was a time when many businesses realized how valuable and how important you are to them. And so let's ride that wave before they forget. And we're going to talk about that and just how to approach sales and marketing with new prospects. I'm going to talk about some things that are going to stay the same, and I'm going to talk about some things that are going to change and how to respond to those things so that you can continue to grow this year. And like I said, take advantage of the opportunities that are out there right now that I'm seeing. So before I dive in too deep, just as an introduction to me, I'll just be curious in the attendee chat, how many of you would say this is the very first time you've ever heard of me, the first time you're ever hearing me speak? So if this is the first time, let me see here. Wow, look at that, Jan, George, got a Liz, Victor. See, that is hurtful. I like to think I'm more famous than that. So I've been around for like what feels like forever. In 2002, I started working with VARs because MSP was just kind of emerging then. We have worked with well over 10,000 MSPs, MSSPs, VARs, IT services companies. We specialize in working with helping them put in productive marketing campaigns. So strategic media agnostic sales and marketing systems. So I don't care if you're doing Facebook, LinkedIn, SEO, websites, even canvassing, direct mail, telemarketing. What we do is we teach our members how to use all of that to maximize sales, and we can get into that more. We do run the largest C-level peer group in the industry. So when I say a peer group, I don't just mean members paying us money. What I mean are CEOs of MSPs, VARs, IT service companies that meet on a weekly basis or in quarterly meetings. Right now, we have 593 that are in a high-level peer executive group that we're in. We have over 5,400 active members, and they're worldwide. Last year, someone asked me, I spoke over at DattoCon Paris. And so we've got clients everywhere from Hong Kong, of course, Canada, in the United States is the bulk of our clients, but we've got clients everywhere. And the thing that I am most proud of is we have more documented client success stories than any other marketing consultant. So one of the core strategies and principles I teach is that marketing should be measurable. And we use a process called direct response marketing, which means if you spend money on marketing, you can track how many leads, how many sales, how many opportunities. Every dollar is held accountable. And my clients, when they spend a dollar on marketing, they want to see $5, $10, $15, $20 back, preferably tomorrow in their bank account. And that's the kind of marketing that we work on. The name of my company, because I saw that question, is technologymarketingtoolkit.com. So we've been around for quite a while. Like I said, over 10,000 VARs, MSPs as clients that we've worked with, spoken at a lot of industry events. And I guess, this is not to brag. It's just to kind of tell you that the place I'm coming from and what I'm going to share with you today is what I see in talking to, working with, seeing what our, with these 5,400, 5,500, because it's always climbing, members are saying to us on a regular basis. So I'm very in the trenches with my clients. I'm not ivory tower. I have meetings on a regular basis. They report numbers, they report metrics to us. I have a really good handle on what's going on right now out there in the world of managed services. And I'm going to share with you kind of what I'm seeing right now, what I've been seeing since coronavirus and beyond. So one other thing real quick is a housekeeping item. I know some of you will probably want to know more about the direct response marketing we've done, or we do. So if you go to toolkitlive.com/intermedia, I've put together a marketing kit for you guys, and it's audio and it's webinars and it's reports and things that are going to help you. It's all free, and you can sign up for a one-on-one marketing consultation with my organization if that's of interest. So I'm just putting that out there. If some of you have to jump off, I want to make sure you get a lot of value. So let's dive in. The first thing I thought I'd share with you, we did an industry poll of our members. Now, you're going to see on the slide deck that about 407 people took the poll. People are continuing to finish that survey, but the numbers and the percentages haven't changed. And what I did is I said, how has the coronavirus and all the industry shutdown, how has it impacted your business? And how do you think it's going to continue to impact you this year and beyond? And so here's what they said. We saw that about 34% said sales aren't going to be down at all. So 40% said they think sales will be down, somewhere sub 20%. So some of our clients are seeing a little bit of a dip, but the majority are not going to see more than a 20% dip in sales. A good solid 34% are saying we're not going to see anything. 18%, 19% saying they think sales are going to be down between 21 and 40%. Obviously some much worse, but the vast majority of people are saying they're going to see a little bit of a dip, but not much. And I can tell you that we have since seen an uptick as businesses are starting to go back and reopen. I'm seeing a lot of my clients close 6 and 7 figure deals. And consistently. And I'm going to show you a campaign one client of mine has already closed 6 deals with since the shutdown, which has only been about 2 months. And so we'll cover that. Now, the other thing I asked is, do you anticipate to lose more sales? And 40% said, yeah, we're going to continue to lose clients and revenue, but not much. And 46% said, no, we think we've already lost what we're going to lose. 13% think that they're going to continue to see more losses. And I could tell you this is very niche specific, because there are some people that are in a particular vertical. Like one of my clients is in the hotel industry, and he's taken, it's a bloodbath right now. But I've got other clients that are supporting attorneys' offices, legal offices, medical, and they're not seeing any dip. In a lot of cases, they're seeing growth. So that's very good. Also, we asked a question of what percentage of your techs have you had to furlough or lay off? 83% said they haven't had to lay off anybody, which is really, I guess it's good news for them. It's not good news for you if you're trying to recruit their techs, right? So that's kind of, I guess you could look at it either way. 7% said, or 10% said that they're, losing somewhere between like 1 to 10%, they've had to lay off. So again, not much. You're not seeing much attrition out there. And then we also asked, how optimistic are you that the economy will recover this year? The vast majority of people, almost 60%, said they're somewhat optimistic. They think that it will recover more towards the end of this year. About 20% said they're very optimistic. So again, majority of people have not sustained big losses. They think sales are going to dip a little bit, but they don't think it's going to be horrible. And what I'd be interesting to see, if you'll just go ahead and post in the chat, what are you seeing? I'd be curious to see, do you feel that, have you seen losses? Have you gone backwards? I know a lot of people have said that they haven't seen much change, but they're worried about getting paid. So I can see David just said no change. I'd be curious to see sales seem to be on pause, then a loss, gotten more project business. This is good. Sean Keller saying he's got more project business. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Probably see a 10% dip in revenue. It looks like the conversation out that you're saying and responding here. that business is good. So it seems like what I'm seeing from all of you here is similar to what my clients have been reporting. Good from current clients, bad from acquisition of new clients. Big drop in product sales, slight losses, 20% drop off in service. Bill is saying adapt or die. Amen there. That's true. So yeah, I mean, I think it's across the board. Again, some people are doing really well right now, and some people are doing poorly. And I think the majority of people are seeing a little bit of loss, but again, there's potential for more. So another question I asked our audience is, I said, where do you think the biggest opportunities are right now? And the biggest chunk, obviously, majority of people said they're seeing huge opportunity in anything remote workforce solutions, cloud, voice over IP, and very closely with that is cybersecurity. And I think what has happened is everybody very suddenly, without a lot of heads up and warning, were forced to have their entire workforce go remote, or a lot of them go remote, or put in solutions to deal with this. Tech and tech was at the center of that. And so a lot of the things that were put in play might not be as secure as possible. So where a lot of the opportunities are even within your existing client base, if they want to keep that remote aspect, and many of them will, they are going back to them and selling them something that's more secure, more robust, something that is, hey, if it comes back in the fall, you're going to be prepared. You're not going to be just jumping in a little like dinghy off the Titanic as it goes down. You can be better, have better contingency plan. A lot of the people we polled said that they thought they're going to pick up a lot of clients from MSPs that failed their clients because, again, it was a mad rush for everybody and a lot of things were going on. So some MSPs didn't do so well in supporting their customers, and those people are going to really, they're going to have other MSPs picking off their clients, regular IT services, disaster recovery. VoIP was down there, it says 4%, and that's just a pure response of VoIP. But a lot of people also said VoIP in that remote workforce. So the rest were random one-off answers. So this is where our members are seeing the vast majority of opportunity. And the reality is, we know that Humpty Dumpty has fallen off that wall, and he is not going to go back together the same. So business has been impacted, and it's going to shift and it's going to change. And again, I think it's not all bad. I think that certain industries are definitely going to take a hit. I think the event industry, which I'm a big part of, it's not my whole business, but we do a lot of events. That's taken a hit. We've had to pivot. We've had to go virtual with our events and add on a virtual component. So we're investing a lot of thousands of dollars right now into application development and putting together things that solutions to allow us to have an enhanced virtual event. And I know a lot of people are doing that. But I think in tech, a lot of people are going to say, you know what, going through this pandemic made us realize maybe we don't need that huge office space. I'm good friends with Robert Hershevek. You might be familiar with Robert. He's on Shark Tank. He's his core business today is an MSSP. They do about $400 million a year. And Robert has said, the numbers he's seeing are good. He said, across the board on enterprise level, people are still spending money on cybersecurity. They're investing in staying remote, because he said what happened was a lot of people, when the business went remote, they suddenly realized, hey, maybe I don't need that office space. I also know Kevin O'Leary, because I've had these guys speak at my events. That's how I know them. But I've had Kevin O'Leary. He's echoed the same thing that Robert has said, that businesses are going to be saying, we don't need that big office space. Let's put more remote, flexible workforce solutions. And because you guys are intermediate partners, you could not be positioned better. So this is the time to go deeper in the solution stack that they offer you. This is what people are going to want to buy. But there's going to be a short window, because they're going to start buying it now. They're going to start looking for a vendor now. If you're not marketing right now, you're going to miss it, because once they buy, they're not going to go back 3 months from now and buy again from somebody else. They're going to make a decision and they're going to go forward. So right now, more than ever, you got to put the gas pedal down. You got to start marketing. We just had our big event. Some of you who don't know me, we run a big event every year that had to go virtual. We typically have about 1,500 people who attend our event. We went virtual and we ended up with just shy of 5,000 people attending that virtual event. It was incredible. And my keynote speaker was Marcus Lemonis. Some of you might know him from CNBC's The Prophet. You see him on TV. He is the CEO of Camping World. It's a billion-dollar organization. And I asked him, I interviewed him at my event, and I said, what advice would you have right now for tech companies? And he said, if it were me, I'd be putting my foot down on the gas pedal, and I would be pouring resources into marketing, because so many people are trying to work remote and they're spending money on tech, and there's going to be a window. And again, guys, I'm telling you right now, you're positioned, so you do not want to hesitate. You really want to get after the marketing. So 3 things that you can count on to stay the same, that aren't going to change. These are good things. One is there are always going to be opportunities, always. Even during the pandemic, I had clients closing, 5 and 6 digit deals. I mean, they were, $100,000, $500,000 contracts that they were closing even while shut down. They're closing them over Zoom meetings. So there's always going to be opportunities, but you got to be marketing. You got to be, putting yourself out there, or people aren't going to be able to find you to even buy. The fundamentals of business are not going to change, which is, providing value and differentiating yourself. Those things are not going to change, and how successful you are or aren't depends entirely on you. I can tell you that all success is behavior based. If you're going to sit back and say, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I'm unsure, I don't think people want to be marketed to, all that, if you have all that head trash, then of course things are going to be terrible. Right now, you're not going to see any opportunities because you're not going to do much marketing. So, all success is behavior based. And what are you going to do? Not what are you going to think about, what are you going to plan or write down or intend to do, but what are you actually going to get done? And that's going to determine whether or not you have the best year ever or a pretty mediocre or backstep year. You really got to change, you got to pivot, but I'm telling you, the opportunities are definitely out there. Now, what I want to spend more time on is what things will change, because there are a few things that are going to be a little bit different. And you want to make sure, again, they're not bad. You just want to make sure you change your approach a little bit. And the first thing that's going to change is the buyer. So the buyers are going to have a little different attitude, little different criteria. I'm going to talk about that. The second thing is the cost of acquisition is going to go up. And that's because some people are hesitant to spend money. That doesn't mean they don't have money. It's just parked for a little bit. So those opportunities are out there. It's just going to be parked, which means the cost of acquisition is going to go up. I'm going to show you what I mean by that and how to overcome that. And it just means that, if your typical close rate is 50% of every deal, it might be more like 30%, right? So that means your acquisition cost goes up. It just means getting a qualified lead is going to cost more now than it did, a year ago. And again, it's not a bad thing. Everybody's dealing with it. So it's not just affecting you, it's affecting your competition. Most people use that as a reason to not do any marketing at all, but I'm going to talk about what you do to combat that and actually still come out ahead. And then the need, what people are going to want to buy. So we're going to cover all these. The first one is who the new buyer is. And the new buyer is, you got to think about this. Look at the verticals in the niche that you're in. Some are clearly getting hit harder than others. So if you're in the hotel industry, if you're in an event industry, if you deliver solutions to schools, you might have to pivot fast to another industry or something that's adjacent to that industry, because if they're just not spending money, if they're shut down, you're going to have a hard time getting any money. Nido Cobain, who is a mentor of mine, a good friend of mine, he's president of High Point University. I don't know if you guys, anyone out there know Nido Cobain, maybe High Point University. I'd imagine you don't. But he's an incredible, high integrity, very successful entrepreneur. I was in his IQ program for several years. I have him speak to my audiences quite a bit. But one of my favorite quotes from Dr. Cobain is, who your customer is today is a piece of data. Who your customer should be is a piece of strategy. And all that is to say is, if your customers aren't spending, if you're in a bad niche, if your niche is hit hard and not spending money, you can pivot, you can change. You can, who your customer could be, look to where the opportunities are in your market, and and then go from there. I mean, so not all industries have been hit hard. Some are actually thriving right now. I mean, I can tell you, like anything in home exercise equipment, manufacturing, they can't even keep inventory. It's insane. So certain industries, some are hit really hard and others aren't. And you got to look at that when you're thinking about marketing. The second thing is your buyer is going to be a lot more value conscious. Now, that's not cheapest price. See, the mistake people make when the economy turns bad or we have what's going on now, a mistake people make is they start to discount to win business. And I'm telling you, don't discount. Either find a different person to sell to, increase your marketing, or provide more value, but don't discount. Now, more value conscious doesn't mean that they're looking for the cheapest price. But what they are going to start doing is questioning every bill. I'm sure everybody on this webinar did this. Maybe you didn't. Tell me, I'd like to, I'm looking at the chat, right? When this pandemic hit and everybody was told, you got to stop working, you got to work remote, almost every single person panicked and they got out their Visa credit card bill, they got out their bank statement, and they went down every cost and they said what's necessary and what's not. I see the thumbs up. Everybody's like, yep, that's exactly what I did, right? And so what they're doing is they're not saying I'm not going to spend money on IT, but what the buyer is going to be a lot less tolerant of mediocre services because all the power has returned to the buyer and they know it. That's why when the pandemic hit, you may have had clients calling you up saying, hey, can we get a discount? Or can we put off paying you for a month? Or can we reduce this for a couple months until we come back, right? And the reason they were doing that is they were doing that with you, but they were doing that with every single vendor, right? So I actually coached my clients to say no in a very elegant way. Another good friend of mine, Chris Voss, who wrote the book, Never Split the Difference. I interviewed him for my clients on negotiation, and a lot of my clients didn't give a discount at all. So what I'm just saying is that those buyers out there know that everybody's a little freaked out and they're going to be asking for discounts, but stay firm. If you provide the value, don't discount, differentiate. Do something different, add more value, but definitely don't discount, because now you're going to have to live with that contract for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and costs are going up. And, the cost of talent is going up, the cost of everything, inflation, is going to go up. And you don't want to discount because you're going to regret that later on, because you're going to have to fulfill on that contract. And I'm telling you, my advice to my clients all the time is walk away and do more marketing so that you got 10 people lined up. So you can tell if there's 3, 4, 5 of them that say, I don't want to pay your bill, or that's too much money. Doesn't matter. Move on. It's like a bus, right? If I wait here long enough, another one's going to come along any minute. If you have a good marketing system in place that you can trust, it gives you more resilience against price sensitivity, right? So I'm just telling you, be prepared for that, but don't roll over to it. Be more value conscious, show more value. And if you have mediocre services, you got to really step up the game, because right now that's what people are going to fire you and they're going to look for somebody else. Now, the second thing that is going to change is the cost of acquisition is going to go up. And so the way you combat rising acquisition, which is marketing costs, is number one, I already touched on this, who you sell to. Change the buyer. Go upstream, go sideways, go to a different niche, go to a different industry. If the industry you're selling to is not buying or they don't want to spend the money, go find one that will. The other thing you could do is change what you sell. Right now, like I said to you, remote workforce solutions are hot. People want to buy cloud and they want to buy cybersecurity compliant solutions. So if you aren't having that on your website, if you aren't actively out in the marketplace telling people this is what you can do, you're missing out on the opportunity, right? Even your existing clients, if you're not going back and doing what we call QBRs or quarterly business reviews, if you're not going back and recommending more robust, more secure, compliant remote workforce solutions, you're missing out. Not only are you missing out on the opportunity, but you're missing out on the opportunity to serve your customers. And your customers aren't going to sit there with a big and call you up and say, hey, Mark, I got a big pile of money. I don't know what to spend it on. You got anything I could buy? Like, that's not how it works. So you got to go to them and you got to present things to them and say, I've got a way to help you work remote, secure, that's compliant, that if another pandemic hit or anything, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay against ransomware. You're going to be okay against the next pandemic, the next crisis that's going to hit. So, and again, right now, people are sensitive to that, meaning that they're more likely to buy it right now because they just came off of something that was like, oh, holy crap, I couldn't believe this actually happened. And so when you go to them and you say, hey, there's an opportunity, you might not be able to go back in your office and work, and you got to have this way of being able to switch to a remote workforce, now they're more likely to listen to your advice. The other thing is you increase the average sale. So I'll give you a little tidbit here. This is a really powerful strategy. So please pay attention. This is important. So a way to raise your prices without appearing to raise your prices is when you present to a prospective customer, you never want to present one solution, because when you close on one solution, it's the ask is, it's take it or leave it. Do you want this or not? Okay. What I coach my clients to do is have a good, better, best option. Now, I don't like presenting 3 options, but I do like presenting at least 2. And one of those should be a first-class white glove service that is a lot more expensive, if you will, or a lot higher priced than your average deal. So whatever you normally sell right now, create an elite white glove first-class type service, right, for the whatever it is you sell. And that way, when you present it to a new buyer, you say, we can do option A or option B. Now, never sell a client less than they need. Okay, so I'm not saying play games. Whatever, even the basic, whatever you sell, the basic service should always be sufficient and good for what they need. But add on a luxury, higher end solution. And if it makes any sense at all, 20 to 30% are going to buy that. So for example, I'll give you an example of my company. So if you go buy the toolkit is about $5,000, to buy that program. Now we have an option where you can come into Nashville and you spend 2 days with me, and we spend 3 months walking you through implementing a marketing plan. We charge $10,000 for that. Roughly 28% of the people that we present those 2 options to take what we call the rapid implementation option, right? Which then increases our average sale to not $5,000, but it increases it up to about $6,700 on the average, right? So I have just now added, $1,700 in sales to our average ticket without having to increase prices, right? And it also gives a little bit of contrast and comparison. So it makes your stock standard service look cheaper because you're comparing it against a white glove service. It's also a way of pulling out certain things that are not included, because if they want them, they got to pay more for it. So that's a way of increasing the average sale, is having a good, better, best option. Another thing, you should be doing QBRs, or quarterly business reviews. Cross-sell campaigns. So this is where you go to every single client, and at least once a quarter, you're sitting down, and it's not just a sales meeting. A QBR should really be a C-level discussion about what you're doing for them, recommendations you have to get feedback from them. It's a collaboration. You're basically being the CIO of that organization, or CTO of that organization. So once a quarter, you're sitting down, understanding their goals, understanding their priorities, and meeting with them, right? Now, during those meetings, you want to recommend solutions that you think they might need. And that's why you got to sit down with them to find out where their business is going, where they might be opening up a new office, how hard they were hit with the coronavirus pandemic, and how it's impacted their business. So by doing those quarterly meetings, you're making every client more valuable to you, because they're going to buy more, and they're going to be happier because you're more in touch, you're delivering your proactive services, and they're going to be more likely to refer you too, because it's higher touch. And I think a mistake a lot of MSPs make is they deliver this remote support and then they never show up, because you're like, well, we're handling everything remote. Well, I get that, but the client doesn't see you. If they don't see you and all they see is that check going out and everything's working, that's when you get I don't know why I'm paying you $7,000 to $10,000 a month, because everything's working and I never see you. And you're like, well, that's exactly what that's what you hired me to do. That's a good thing, right? No, but you got to have those quarterly meetings. Also, make sure you have everything you sell has continuity baked in, MRR or managed recurring revenue. That's another way to combat rising costs. Be more aggressive with capturing leads, following up, and drip marketing. This is something I'm telling you, every MSP can do better at. We do, we do secret shopping for our customers. It's terrible. And I promise you it's going on in your organization. I'll call your office. I'll either not, I can just give you a little stat. 8% of the MSPs that we call either don't have voicemail set up. It's a fast busy. It just rings and rings and never connects. You get put in voicemail hell. You can't even leave a message. See, like if you're trying to do marketing and you can't even answer your phone, you're not going to be able to be successful because people are going to call up and you're going to miss every one of those opportunities. So that's like actually when clients come to us, it's one of the first things we fix. We got to fix your phones. We got to fix your website. There's leads coming in and those leads are going God knows where. It's like, oh, no, I get an email. I get an email from when people opt in. Oh, really? I could tell you better than 30% of the websites we test, the email that's supposed to alert you that you got a lead is going into a spam filter and you weren't even aware of it, or it's being routed somewhere, or the form is broken. So it happens all the time. So you got to you got to tighten that down. I could do a whole session just on that. Improve your sales process, no more free range chicken. So that means you don't show up and say whatever comes to mind. You really got to get better at your sales process, and then focus on strategic partners. And strategic partners are people who are going to help you market and promote your business. I'm looking here in my slide deck. I will cover that a little bit for you in some of the things to do later on. I just wanted to make sure I had this in the deck. But yeah, those strategic partners are a way to generate leads at a very low to no cost whatsoever. And that also can help. So I'm going to keep going on. If you guys have questions, post them. I don't know if you guys, if that's, I'm sure, believe me, guys, any one of these I could go and spend an hour on. So I know I'm going quick. But if you have questions, please post them. Jesse saying quarterly customer touches are a great idea. And it's not just touches, Jesse, though. It is, it really is those meetings, and there's a structure to it. I don't know if I have any of my clients out there, but, we have a process for it. I'd just be curious if any of my clients are out there, go ahead and post something about QBRs, because they are really critical to not only to customer retention and happiness and satisfaction, but also to generating sales. All right. Okay. So let's talk about marketing acquisition costs, because back here, if you remember, we're talking about how to combat those costs. So I want to show you the marketing acquisition cost example. So like, if we said MSP number one, if their cost per lead was about $250 cost per qualified lead, which by the way is not out of the ballpark. I don't know if I'm curious if you guys want to post what your average cost of a qualified lead is. That's what I'm curious. Not just a lead, but a qualified lead. If the MSP number two, if they spend $500 now to get a lead, you would think, oh my God, that's terrible. But see, it's not just the cost of the lead that you got to pay attention to. You got to look at closing percentage. You've got to look at the average sale. So going back to my example earlier, when I was saying having a good, better, best option, let's say in your sales process, you implement a high-end white glove, top of the line service, and your average sale was typically $1,000, but by introducing that, now your average sale is $1,500. See, that's not uncommon for my clients to see that. So now we've made every client more valuable right from the get-go. The average gross profit, let's say for you, is typically 60% if we tighten down utilization, if we get the production of our team to be better, if we raise our prices, the average gross profit now is 70%. So you can see, let's suppose you're MSP one and leads are only costing you $250. And see, most people, that's all they look at. They don't look at all the other metrics. And you have to look at all the other metrics, because let me show you something here. MSP, if 20 leads, to generate 20 leads, it's going to cost them $5,000. And that would give them 5 clients at a 25% close rate and $5,000 in MRR. At $1,000 if that was their average, which would give them about $60,000 annually, and that would be $36,000 in gross profit. Let's just say that, right? But excuse me, you can see over there's a little typo. MSP number two, On the right side, which it should say MSP2, I apologize for that. 20 leads cost them $10,000. And see, most people would faint and they go, oh my God, that's way too much money to spend. But you're going to see in a minute, that's only one data point. You can't just look at the cost of marketing. You got to look at, well, how many of those turn into clients? So a 45% close rate, that gives them 9 clients. If they get $1,500, it's $13,500 in MRR. That's $162,000, which means that their gross profit, even though they're spending twice as much on marketing, or their marketing is costing them twice as much, they're actually getting almost 3 times the amount of gross profit. So when you're thinking about marketing, don't get caught into this cost. Marketing is a cost, because, for example, when you start doing lead generation, you might find Facebook leads are cheap, and they are. We're doing some sponsored in-mail. We're getting leads in my organization for $13, which is dirt cheap. Okay. Now, if I do a direct mail piece, my direct mail cost might be more like in the line of $300 to get a qualified lead. Okay. So you go, well, shoot, Robin, if you could do LinkedIn and get $13 a lead, or Facebook for even cheaper, why would you ever do direct mail? And that's because if we go through the whole process, for me, in my business, direct mail leads convert at a higher rate and they buy more than Facebook. So even though the leads are cheaper on Facebook, and we get more of them, not as many convert. So when you get right down to it, if you do cost averaging, the cost of the customer acquisition ends up being pretty much the same. And when you're doing marketing, and you want to have every option, because there's some people you will not reach on Facebook. There are some people that you will not reach on LinkedIn. They're not on there. They don't use it. They don't respond to it, whatever. So when you're doing marketing, you want to use every type of media possible. Okay. But what you're doing here is, what I'm suggesting to you is, as marketing becomes a little less effective because money is parked and they're a little afraid to do anything right now. Okay. Money will move again. I promise you. Okay. But what you want to look at is, don't just look at, okay, well, it costs a lot to do marketing, so we're only going to do the cheap stuff, or it costs a lot to do marketing, so we're not going to do anything. Look at, how do we improve our follow-up process so more of those leads actually turn into an appointment? And how do we make our sales process better so that we close at a higher price point and we make every customer more valuable? And how do we make our gross profit higher? Maybe it's raising your prices a little bit. Maybe it's being tighter in utilization. And again, this is a more sophisticated way of looking at marketing that most people never look at. And this is why most MSPs struggle with marketing, because they just look at how much does it cost to for that advertising, and they go, oh, it's too much money. But they never really go through the math. You got to go through all of this to really see how you can improve and get more juice out of every lead, out of every customer, because right now that's what's going to be necessary to continue to grow your business. All right. So I think some people saying, what makes number 2 close 45% versus 25%? So, somebody who can close at a higher rate, it could be just that they're better at handling the lead when it comes in. I'll give you an example, and hopefully I'll go off on a little tangent here. One of the things I teach my clients to do is to present and give a new prospective customer what's called a shock and awe box. Now, that's our technical term. We don't say to a prospective customer, let me send you my shock and awe box, because it sounds like you're going to drop a bomb on them. We say, we're going to send you some pre-meeting materials. So after you get a lead in and you've talked to them and you've set an appointment, we send that in advance. And it answers frequently asked questions. It's got a testimonial book. It's got information on your company. Like, we teach our clients to put free reports in there. We have them self-publish books. And see, this pre-sells and predisposes that person to want to do business. And by just implementing that, we have heard our clients report their close rate goes up 20 to 40% just by implementing that. So what makes one MSP close better than another? It's a number of things. It's not just one thing, but it's the whole process that happens from when a lead comes in. Is it captured? Is your phone answered live? because that sets a tone. That's the first impression I have of your company is how you answer that phone. And if I'm firing my current MSP because they're MIA and they're hard to get a hold of and they're not responsive, and I call your office looking to find another MSP and you don't answer your phone live, guess what? I'm Googling the next person. So that's all of those things go into how much more productive you are at closing a lead versus them, versus another MSP. All right. So I could do a whole day on that. So I'm just trying to give you these. Hopefully, Mark, how are we doing? Are you still out there or am I on my own?
I'm here. You're doing great. We're good.
Okay. I just want to check on you. All right. I'm going to keep going. So the third thing that's neat is what people are going to want to buy. So this is pretty straightforward. Where the opportunities are right now, I've already touched on anything remote workplace, cloud VoIP, UCaaS, any other secure remote work solutions. And you really got to promote it that way, because the layman business owner, if you say cloud, they actually might not connect that's how you go in a remote workforce. I mean, I know we know that, but they might not know that. So you've got to be talking to them about how do you ensure your employees and your business can survive the next pandemic, the next shutdown, the next crisis. We have secure remote workforce solutions that make your team more productive and get more done despite what's going on in the economy, despite the pandemic, despite being shut down. That's the kind of conversation you want to be having right now. Opportunities include having, just in regular IT support, because again, a lot of MSPs have failed their clients. But what you've got to be doing is you've got to have what's called a unique selling proposition, a USP, and you have to be able to explain to a business owner, here's why you want to outsource your support to us versus whoever you've got right now. So you have to knock out the incumbent. And that's why having a unique selling proposition is more important than ever. Focus on selling what people want to buy right now, secure workforce solutions. And the other thing is constantly be going back and talking to your customers about new solutions. This is like, and Mark, you might want to chime in on this. I know you and I had a conversation about this, that people get pigeonholed into selling one thing. So they only sell this, whatever this is. And they never go back to their customers and say, what else can we sell? What else are your customers buying right now that you could offer them? Right. Mark, do you want to chime in on that at all?
I mean, absolutely. That's the point, pretty much spot on. And that's, what we're seeing, especially as remote work is here, that, contact center, for example, is something that we're seeing really grow as, our partners, maybe we're selling our unified communication solution, voice and chat and file collaboration, and then maybe didn't even realize the opportunity that exists with contact center, and that with a cloud-based contact center they now have this brand new offering through us, same vendor, that meets business needs of all these other businesses that now need to figure out remote. So kind of exactly what you're saying. That's stuff that we're seeing with our partners and customers that they serve.
Yeah, I mean, it's shocking to me, even somehow some MSPs aren't even talking to their customers right now about cybersecurity. If you're not doing that, you're at risk at losing that customer. Trust me, because if they're not hearing from you, they're going to hear from somebody, and they're going to be wondering, why aren't you talking to me about these things? Or at least just, not even selling, but just saying, hey, is there interest in this? Is there, have you considered this? So that's really important. There's a report that I found, it's research on IT outsourcing for 2020, and IT security is showing the largest growth rate of all outsourced IT functions. 48% of SMBs said they're going to increase their spend on cybersecurity. And I think that's even going to go up now with the pandemic. Cybersecurity also is an area where the motivation to outsource is not about getting a cheaper price, because most people outsource because they want to save money. Where cybersecurity, it's really about getting a better solution. So that's good news across the board. Network operation outsourcing has also increased. 34% of businesses are going to outsource that. And help desk is going to also be outsourced. I think as companies look to lower their costs, We're talking about things, about, reducing overhead and IT staff and moving to outsourcing. Because whenever the economy goes south a little bit, that's which is my next point. Whenever the economy goes south, outsourcing goes up. So that's a driver. The increased complexity of these things, whether it's the call center, whether it's the, voice over IP, regulatory compliance, and cybersecurity, that's driving this. And there's still a massive shortage of IT talent out there. So a lot of companies, small and big ones too, are going to be looking to outsource, and they're going to want these types of solutions to buy. Now, I wanted to show you a campaign we put together. I'm going to make sure all of you get this this campaign. I've got it here, right here. This is a campaign a number of my clients are sending out. Now, this is a direct mail piece, this one, and I'll share the direct mail piece with you, but there's around this are emails, there's a LinkedIn promotion, there's telemarketing, and we do run this all as a campaign. So it's not just direct mail, by the way. So just keep that in mind. But it's all about, maybe it's time you took a closer look at what you're spending on IT and what you're really getting for the money. And so this is one of my clients, Tim Shea, AlphaNet Solutions. And, I'll let you read the letter. I don't have time to read it to you, but the whole point of the letter is, maybe it's time you took a closer look at what you're getting for the money from your current MSP. And the opening story, you'll read how the premise is. It talks about him, about how he can give them a better service. And by the way, it's not just about cutting costs, because if you read in the letter, you're going to see that we outline, there's different ways where money can be leaving your organization because they're being underserved. They're constantly going down. So it's not just like, okay, your IT bill is going to go down. It's really about taking a closer look at what you're getting for the money. All right. So I am going to make sure that you get that letter. There's another letter I'll give you. This is one of my UK clients. We kind of did a play on the same letter, but he is targeting companies that have IT departments to sell them co-managed IT. And co-managed IT is just it's just kind of like outsourcing pieces and parts of the IT function, but really kind of in a not just a project and not just monitoring. It's where they're supplementing the IT team and taking over critical functions and giving them even their ticketing tool, their remote management tools, their documentation tools. And so this is another campaign that is working really well. These are the campaigns our clients are sending out, and they're getting appointments. I mean, people are responding to these. So I wanted to share these with you. You can look at those. You can extract out of it what's good, use what you can. And all these campaigns, we're using direct mail, telemarketing, LinkedIn prospecting, and email. Those have been our primary drivers, during this pandemic. All right. So let's talk a little bit, that leads into what I want to talk about next, which is how do you do prospecting right now? So a couple general guidelines. One is I really want you to focus on creating value. People don't like to be sold in the best of times. And when they're fearful and they've got a lot going on and their business has been hit really hard, they're really going to resent you for it. So make generous offers. Like you'll see in the letter that I was just showing you, like this closer look, offering to do an IT assessment. I'll show you some examples as well. Like this is one of my clients, Jim Gast. He was, back when the pandemic was hitting, he was offering to help attorneys' offices, which is the niche he specializes in, to go remote. So, he was going out saying, look, if you can't get your business or your employees to work remote, you're stuck, call me up and I'll do it for free. And basically he was just setting them up to work from home remote for free. Another example of providing value, like MSP Success Magazine, I'm the founder of, we had a whole page set up of resources. So right now, be a resource center to your prospects. Don't just go out there and say, hey, we do IT, do you want some? Offer to show them how to be secure, how to be compliant, how to set up a remote workforce, or what to be thinking about as they go remote. Reaching out to strategic partners. This is what I mentioned earlier. So for example, Scott Beck, who's another client of mine, he's in Canada. He did a series of webinars and got endorsed by the deputy mayor of his town. They actually brought him in and promoted his webinar and his resources through social media. Now think about this. I mean, I'm sure, I don't want to say you couldn't pay a politician to do this, but, technically you're not supposed to be able to pay it. But he didn't pay a politician. he just offered this up, and he reached out to his local chamber and the local governments, and he said, look, I can do webinars, I can do free resources to show people how to work remote, how to keep their business afloat, how to stay secure during this time. And his governor, the mayor, they ate that up. Now, he didn't get on there and pitch, he got on there and was a value creator. So this is a great way to get exposure, to generate leads, is do educational webinars, because webinars, obviously we can't meet in person safely right now. So you do the webinars, you do the Zooming, whatever, you go out there and you provide value, give them checklists again about workforce, like remote workforce, cybersecurity compliance, even showing them how to set up their call center and be able to take live calls in right now when everybody's scattered all over. This is the value you want to provide. It's all intermediate solutions that you want to be talking about. Peter Veleza, another client of mine, did he had his Chamber of Commerce promote him and his webinar to everybody in the chamber for free. He also did one with the Medical Group Management Association. They emailed their entire list to promote how to thrive with your medical practice during uncertain times, right? So these are the ways you can generate leads, reach out to new prospects, provide value, and it doesn't feel or come across like you're taking advantage of people. You're a value creator, and people will want to do business with you, right? Do continue to send out newsletters and drip marketing. We continue to send out all of that during the pandemic. Our newsletter went out, our magazine went out. I think it's really important that you maintain that presence. Do continue to blog and change the topics, of course, to what's relevant to your niche, how to get back to business, how to work secure. Those are always going to be hot topics. Also, do video. When the pandemic hit, and still happening right now, video usage and people watching video and internet usage went up 30%, and videos were just being consumed like crazy. So do short videos. Take the top 10 tips and do videos, and then post them on LinkedIn, post them on YouTube, post them on social media and Facebook. Do a video blog, a vlog, and email your clients and your prospects and send them these tips. This is all a way of introducing a new topic. So like Mark was talking about the call center, do a video on the latest phone technology to make sure that your phones are being answered in the way that you want, and you're not missing customer calls even when everybody's scattered all over the place, right? So those are the kind of videos and tips and articles and blogs that people want to hear about right now, and that's going to lead you to get more business. Chris Traxler, another client of mine, he created a video series. He went out on Facebook and said, hey, what are you struggling with right now? And that's a way you can get topics. If you don't know what topics to write about, post out on social media, email your clients and say, tell me what's the one thing you'd like me to cover or talk about right now. What's the number one thing you're struggling with? Just a short email to your customers, and they'll respond. And then there's your topic for a webinar. There's your topic for videos. There's your blog post topics, right? Just go to your existing customers and say, what are you struggling with? Use LinkedIn, the Sales Navigator. Don't just cut and paste stupid spam messages, right? Customize the messages, focus on providing value. So for example, this one I was kind of chuckling at this one because Tyler sent me, he said, Robin, I hope you're safe, healthy, well supplied, keeping ahead of the TP bandit. So it's a little funny. If you find yourself in need from work from home hardware or software, I have inventory and access to discounts. So let me know if I can be of service. See, this doesn't come across as scummy or scammy, and it's relevant because, for a while there, nobody could get hardware. Again, I mentioned Robert. He said that was the number one challenge he was dealing with in his business. He's like, we've got orders for 1,000 laptops or 2,000 laptops, and we can't even fulfill. So I'm sure, things are starting to change a little bit, but this was very relevant when he sent this to me. So use LinkedIn. It's a tremendous, tremendous tool. I'd recommend investing in it. And do direct mail, but make the offers and message relevant to what's going on. I'm giving you these templates. This was a campaign that a lot of my clients sent out. It said, are you extremely worried about your business surviving right now? And we put a little worry doll in the letter. And if so, we'll set up your employees to work securely from home for free. I had a ton of people send out this letter and pick up clients during the pandemic. So it was a direct mail piece, had a worry doll in it. I'll make a note, Mark. I don't think I gave you this one, but I'll give you guys this letter too if you want to take a look at this. And just remember, we integrated email telemarketing with this. So it wasn't just a letter. We would email them and say, hey, we sent you a letter. Here's the offer. We used LinkedIn. We had web pages they'd go to as a landing page. And of course, some areas didn't, if you're in New York City, then obviously, you were shut down. Other areas of the country weren't. So some of it you just have to take on a case-by-case basis. Another guideline is be generous with your offers. I've already kind of talked about this. Be more lenient about payment plans if you can be. Pile on free bonuses. Play the long game right now if you can. So, for example, Tom Malesic, another client of mine, what's so funny about Tom is he's an MSP based in Lancaster. And part of his computer support program comes with like a termite pest control because the computers are wooden up there. I was like, he hates that joke, but I think it's funny. But he also does like web design and marketing for people. And he offered to just hop on a call and do a strategy call for free for anybody who is worried about how do I do marketing right now during all the crisis that's going on in the world. So it's not just the pandemic anymore. So that's an idea of a good example of a great offer. Tom Glover, who's one of my clients, he's down in Atlanta. And this campaign, again, was an email, and it was also a message he sent out via LinkedIn. And it was, he said that he was going out to chambers of commerce in his area and offering free secure workforce solutions. So he's not doing the support. He's not doing help desk. He would just set them up to work remote for free. And he said he added 20 companies and 90 users right there just by using this offer. So it's similar to this closer look. It's similar to that worry doll letter. I'll make sure you get that letter, and you can see the offers in there of what we're making. And that is what's going to get you to get people to want to do business with you right now. Let's see here. Let me keep going. Now, this is one not to do. And I hope this person isn't on the webinar, but this was horrible. So imagine we're in the middle of the shutdown. Everything's going sideways for me. I'm a CEO of a company. I mean, we're a big company. We're trying to get everybody to work remote. I got my event coming up, and I get this in-mail. And the in-mail says, hey, wanted to reach out. It's my understanding you're the CEO of Technology Marketing Toolkit, which is stupid because of course I am. It's on every website and everything. So that's a dumb thing to say. You sound like you don't know what you're doing. Was looking to speak to you about your role, which is, what do you mean about my role? To see if, and name a company, could help support your 2020 initiatives. Would you be free to speak for a few minutes next week? And I said, to sell me software or something else. My team covers areas of 200 solutions. So I'm sitting here going, like in the middle of the pandemic, when my world is melting down, she wants some time so she can go over 200 solutions and see what my role is. I mean, I'm just freaking trying to breathe right now. See, this is stupid. We cover cloud migration, analytics, data warehousing. We can do driveway paving if you want. We do babysitting on the side. Like, what are you talking about? This is horrible. So this was her prospecting campaign. And I'm sure she's a nice person, but honest to God, be smart. I mean, people are struggling. You got to think about where they are right now. And you got to help them. Not like, hey, can I show up at your office with a catalog this thick? I'll thumb through it. And when you see something you want to buy, just stop me. Okay. Nobody's going to do that. So you got to be thinking about the offers. Take a look at the letters I'm giving you, and I'm telling you, you're gonna see what you need to do. All right. Focus on providing value. Here's an email template. I know your world's on fire, so I want to let you know if you and your team need extra hands right now or solutions to help your employees work securely from home. We have software tools, expert staff. Here's a link to my calendar. If you just want 10 minutes to chat, give me a call. This is an appropriate, you could use this as an email. You could use this as a LinkedIn message. This could be, you could even send a postcard. You could do a phone call, and this could be the voicemail you leave. So this is the kind of things that are really going to make the difference in whether you get in or you don't. All right. Enter the conversation going on in their mind. That's really, don't ignore the crisis, like the LinkedIn message I just showed you, and promote those offers. So for example, on Instagram, we've got clients that are running ads like this: set up your virtual office quickly. This is a really good Instagram post. You can do it on Facebook, LinkedIn. Hold webinars that give advice. Again, this is an example that I did for IT business owners. We actually had a really good showing on that. I think we had over 1,000 people. We ended up blowing up. Intermediate will be happy to hear this. Like go to webinar, just completely melted down. It was a disaster. But anyway, we had a lot of people, and it built goodwill. We do blog posts, fire up Google AdWords. The AdWords have changed. So if you're doing Google AdWords, you definitely want to be placing bids on work from home or remote workforce. Those are the keywords right now that are hot, that are going to get you the leads. Okay. So again, that's, you want to then drive them to a page of how to quickly shift from a work from home business model to maximize productivity, free emergency work from home consultation, which is really, that's a sales call, but don't call it a free sales meeting, because it's really not sexy and nobody wants a free sales meeting. Good Lord. So we call it something sexier. We call it the free emergency work from home consultation, right? It's no different than a remote virtual meeting that you're having with that client. And then be more flexible with your engagement options right now. If you're a strict MSP, maybe you'll take somebody on a month-to-month basis instead of 3 years. Maybe you can loan them some text to fill in the gaps and do some project work. Believe me, if you could be a little lenient right now, it goes a long way. People remember who saved them, who rescued them, who was there for them when everything went sideways, right? They remember that, and they'll be loyal. If you're going to be a stickler and you're going to be a pain in the butt and you're going to just not be flexible with people, people are going to remember that too. So just be generous, be flexible as much as you can. Don't go bankrupt. I'm not suggesting you go bankrupt, right? Don't like, you're not a charity, but try to be as flexible as you can. All right. And as the saying goes, when the tide goes out, you can tell who's been skinny dipping. And so, a lot of the things we're talking about here, marketing and getting this in place, it would be a lot easier if you had been doing this all along and you're not trying to get started up right now. So if you're overwhelmed and you can't get to anything else, make sure your clients are taken care of, number one. Once you get ahead of that ticket tidal wave, and it'll slow down, then start marketing. But you got to start, because you're going to lose some clients to this economic crisis. There's no doubt. And you don't want to wait. Because marketing takes time to ramp up. You don't just snap your fingers and say, okay, here come the leads. You got to build a list. You got to build systems and processes. There's a lot of things that go into it. And it could take easily 6 months to a year to ramp up. And so now is the time. And the best defense is a strong offense to start getting new clients to replace those that you're going to lose. So again, additional free support that I'm offering right now. If you want, you can go over to that website and sign up for a free consultation and some marketing resources that I think are going to help you. I think you'll find a lot of value in them. There's one interview I did on how to double or triple the number of leads that you've got. And there's also a webinar on the 4 pillars that go, the 4 M's of a good marketing system: market, message, media, and math. And that covers more of a generic, higher level, non-pandemic type marketing approach. So that's it, guys. I hope it was valuable. Mark, I'll take your lead. What do you want me to cover? Or is there any questions you want me to answer?
Yeah, no, I think we're good. So a lot of the questions that came through, you actually answered just through the course of your presentation. So we hit on most of it. There are a few, I just want to be respectful of people's time. So we can digest that and reach out via email to answer a few of those that just didn't get answered. But Robin, I want to thank you for this webinar. This was awesome content, a lot of great feedback from the audience, so thank you. And one consistent question: yes, we'll be sending out a recording of this along with the slides, along with links to all the resources. And one particular thing we'll also include is a link to our webinar in a box. So something Robin talked about was the importance of webinars as a means of communicating with your customers. So don't forget that this platform that we're on right now, this is our proprietary AnyMeeting Webinar Pro, and we're offering it to all of you for free for the rest of the year, so you can take this messaging and other stuff out to your customers. So I'll include a link to that. just as a friendly reminder. But yeah, thanks everyone
Right.
for taking the time, and thank you, Robin, for joining us today.
Yeah, and if I'll just leave you with one thing too, if you guys have questions that didn't get answered, and you really want, because I know Mark, you want to wrap up, but just email ask like asking a question at technologymarketingtoolkit.com, and I'll get around. I will make sure if you can just also send me the questions that came up, Mark. I'll get those questions answered.
Sounds good. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your
Thanks.
day.
Bye now.